Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney and today I have two items to share with you guys. I've got, well, we'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, so first of all, let's just recap a little bit on everything that's been going on the channel. I want to thank you guys for all your comments on my spring capsule wardrobe. I am wearing everything. If you follow along on Instagram, you'll see everything, all the outfits that I'm pairing together. And as a reminder, I will be putting together a lookbook of all 31 outfits kind of at the end of, or the beginning of June. So you can kind of see how I'm wearing this spring capsule in everyday real life. Yeah, it's been really, really great, and I'm very excited. I'm definitely going to buy the summer wardrobe as well. You know, by the time I got finished making all my spring pieces, I really only had about a month left of the spring capsule. Obviously, I was wearing things. I had a lot in my closet, really, to be able to pull from until I could get a few things made. But I think going forward, now that I have all these really good classic pieces that are really, you know, again, things have just finally clicked. I think that these will be very easy going forward into, you know, subsequent spring capsules, for instance, that, you know, maybe I'll just need to add, you know, one or two things, which obviously I'd be able to do rather quickly. So there's not as big of a difference between buying clothes and making them as far as time is concerned. But anyway, really appreciate all the comments on that. A lot of good feedback. As a little update, you know, I had a lot of people talking about my Philippa jeans about, you know, just fix the zipper, you know, you'll regret it if you don't. And I am here to tell you that I, in fact, did not fix the zipper and did, in fact, regret it. So I had a very unfortunate moment at church last Sunday, and the zipper just completely gave out. Like, it was the zipper. So I used a vintage zipper from my stash that I just had. Someone had given me a whole big sack of zippers that they'd picked up at a garage sale, I think, a while ago. And it, I think, was a cotton tape metal teeth zipper. And in my head, I'm like, oh, it's a metal teeth zipper. Like, that'll be fantastic for jeans. But I think that the tape had rotten just enough that those little teeth, I was sitting at my, I lead a 5th grade girls' Sunday school group, and I was sitting at the table during the worship time, and I just felt my zipper go, and at first I thought, oh, it's just broken, like it's split, like I just need to go to the bathroom and probably get it down and then get it back up. And I went to the bathroom, and no, teeth had like flown off of it. Luckily, I was wearing my heather blazer and I had on my white Concord t-shirt. So this was a week ago Sunday that this happened. And I was able to just untuck my t-shirt and it went down low enough, and then I buttoned my heather blazer, which is obviously a long line blazer, so that you couldn't tell that my pants were like gaping open at church. So lesson learned. Lesson learned. So the Philippa jeans are now sitting here waiting for a new zipper. So that's something I've got on my list of things to do this week, which is very exciting. So instead of just mending although I think mending, even, you know, just trying to fix a few things on the zipper that was there, I don't think that would have, I mean, I think it still would have broken. So I just need to put a whole new zipper in, which is annoying, but anyway. Lesson learned. That's embarrassing. You know, people, and you get to a point you're sewing where people are always like, oh, did you make that? Did you make that? And they're so impressed. And then when something like that happens, they're like, oh, did you make those? And you're like, well, I did. It was faulty equipment. It had nothing to do with the sewing. Yeah, anyway. So that was kind of my funny thing that happened. Lesson learned. Wanted to touch base on that. Okay, today, let's talk about Minerva for a minute, their new website that went up last fall. If you guys know, I'm a brand ambassador for Minerva, which means I get sent fabric in exchange for a post on their website, which is, it's almost Instagram-esque. If you haven't been over there, I do have a link down below for my actual profile over there. Now, what I really love about this is that when you're shopping on their site, and they have a huge selection of stuff, but when you're shopping on their site, it makes it really handy now, and anyone can upload. I mean, anyone. You can upload your pictures and stuff. If you tag things from their site that you have used, that pops up on the product pages. So for instance, if you're looking at, well, I'll just take a real life for instance. I was looking for Pontes. And, you know, not all Ponte fabric is created equal. Some's a little bit thinner, some's a little bit thicker. And even though they have descriptions on, you know, this is a medium weight, this is a heavy weight, sometimes that can also be a little deceiving. So what I really love about this is that, you know, when I went on to a particular Ponte that came in a whole bunch of different colors, there were a whole bunch of different posts that popped up with that fabric as well. So I could scroll through and I could see, okay, this girl made pants out of it and they look really good. Like, they don't look too thin or whatever. You know, this girl made a fitted dress out of it. It looks good. Whereas had I popped onto the Ponte page and seen that, you know, maybe someone had made a little bit like a flowier skirt out of it or a top or something, then maybe, and I was looking for it for pants, then maybe I'd be like, well, maybe this isn't the best one, and find one where I could see that people had made pants and that they looked really good. You know, they looked good, they looked like they were thick enough and that kind of stuff. I really love that about the feature. But one of the things that they started doing back in the fall, shortly, this is a little bit after the new website had come live, is they started putting together their own kits. So when you post something on the page, on their, it's like a social media kind of type thing. When you post things, you can tag products, like I mentioned. So a lot of people, you know, you may tag you can use hashtags too and search things by hashtags, but you may put the fabric that you've used, and then maybe if it's a couple of different fabrics that you've used of theirs, and then maybe like a pattern. But you can go as far as putting, you know, the interfacing you use, the buttons you use, the thread color you used, and all that stuff, which we are asked to do as a brand ambassador when we're posting things that have been gifted that way, so that people can easily, you know, see that, especially when it comes to thread. They can see this fabric and be like, okay, well, I know that this is the thread that matches that, so I can order those, at least those two things together, maybe with the pattern, whatever, and know that everything's gonna work. But what they started doing shortly after releasing the site is that they started putting together their own kits. Now, this is, I think that they typically do 2 patterns. Maybe more on some months, but they do a couple of patterns, and usually it's a theme. You know, one theme, well, one of the ones I did was a coat, and I believe that the month that this one was released was the Yates coat by Grainline Studios, and also the paper cut pattern Sapporo coat. And for each pattern, they had, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 different fabric options picked for that. So yeah, so I'll get into a little bit more details of that one as I show you the projects. Anyway, with all of that, you know, it's all well and good to be able to see those kits laid out, you know, because they do beautiful flat lays and stuff like that, where you can see the things that will be coming in that kit. But it's a whole different story when you're looking at a, you know, fabric and here's the pattern versus having it all made up. So they reached out to a few of the brand ambassadors and asked if they would be willing to make up some of these kits, just so they could have actual people in these kits, you know, in a range of different, you know, bodies and all different people, so that the customers could easily see, okay, this is what this color kit looks like, you know, this is what this kit looks like, you know, yada, 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 just to make it easier to see the product. Anyway, I was one of the ones that they reached out to about sewing up a couple of these kits. I've done one kit that was, well, both of these kits have been released now, but at the time I did one kit that they had released back in the fall that she just wanted to kind of catch up on. The gal that I work with at Minerva wanted to just catch up on the backlog of kits that had already been released. And then I've got a few that will be released as, you know, those kits become of the month. So one of them was one of those. So I have a coat here, which is a little untimely for coats, but I do have a coat that I'm going to show you. And then I have a blouse that was actually one of the patterns for April. If you do follow me over there on Minerva, then you've seen both of these. They've both already been up and all that kind of stuff. But I just kind of wanted to talk through them because I get a ton of questions, emails, comments, you know, DMs, that kind of thing, on people that are newer to sewing, and they just have questions about fabric and about pairing them with certain patterns, because that can be intimidating, especially when you're shopping online, because that's a whole different story. You're not able to feel things. You're really relying on descriptions, and that can be hard, especially when you're new to sewing. So that's what I really love about these kits, is that it makes it really easy. If it's something that you're thinking, oh, I would like to make that pattern, you know that the fabrics that they've picked, and typically, I think in the I shouldn't say that for everything. For the coat, for instance, she, like I said, I think that coat that month was the Grainline Yates coat and then the paper cut pattern Sephora coat. She had one fabric picked out for the Sephora coat, but it was in, you know, 4 or 5 different colors that you could choose from. And then the same with the lining that she had picked out. The same thing for the Yates. It was the same fabric, but it was, you know, 4 or 5 different colors. And then she had picked lining that went with all of those. I think it was, I could be wrong, but I think it was even the same lining. It just came in different colors, but she went ahead and color matched that for you so that you could easily, you know, be confident that they would go together, that kind of thing. Anyway, I think that that is great if you're wanting to do a project, and not only that, but you're able to, if you'd like, that's also the nice thing. You can put everything into your cart if you want, or you can pick and choose which things you want to go into your cart. So underneath all of these kits, you know, it's got exactly the amount of fabric that you need to make the largest size. It's the maximum amount of fabric that you need to make for the largest size on that pattern in the view that uses the most fabric, basically. And then it will come with, you know, everything else that you need to make that particular pattern. So yeah, I just kind of want to show you the 2 that I have made so far. I actually have 2 more that I am waiting on buttons actually to arrive still. I think they had a back order on some buttons, but those will be, both of those will be future months coming up this summer of some kits that will be released. So yeah, let's talk about the first one that I did. So this is the Grainline Studio Yates coat. And I made this in March, which obviously as we're coming out of coat making month. But I was very excited about this because I have eyed this coat pattern for such a long time. I thought, I mean, it's been released forever. And I was really excited about trying this out. And I just had a lot of really good surprises with this one. Okay, so this is the Yates coat by Grainline Patterns. Number 1, if you're wanting to make a peacoat style coat, you know, with the notched collar, you know, it's a shorter coat, fully lined. Look at that lining. It's like an iridescent lining. It like changes colors in the light. Isn't that pretty? It's got like a paisley on there. Isn't that pretty? This was a great first tailored coat pattern for like a notched collar. Number 1, her instructions. Grainline's instructions are just really, really good. And I know that she has a ton of support posts on her website for how to like hand holding how to do this coat, like basically a sew along that's on the website, which makes it really, really handy. She's got separate interfacing pieces for everything, so you don't have to drive anything yourself. Everything is in the pattern. This kit came with the paper pattern, so it comes with the paper pattern. It came with this is a vegan Melton wool, which is basically a viscose polyester blend. I was a little hesitant about that because I'm not, I'm like, oh, there's no wool in it. Like, I don't know. It's gorgeous though. I was so impressed. Number 1, it pressed beautifully. It has a nap, so it's like a Melton wool. It's a nice weight. I was very, very impressed with this fabric. So they're not picking, and I mean, they're picking quality things that it's gonna give you a really nice final project, what's really nice. I got 2 spools of matching thread to go with the main fabric. I got enough, obviously, lining that goes with this. I got interfacing that is needed for this project. And I got the snaps. So this closes by snaps here at the front that are not seen when everything is all said and done. It came with all of those. And it comes with sewing needles. So even if you have questions on, what needle should I be using for that project, it comes with the needle that you need for your sewing machine as well. And then if this pattern doesn't use shoulder pads, and so I didn't put shoulder pads in here, and it works fine. This is a nice, like a loose one. I did not do a full bust adjustment on this. I did do a narrow shoulder adjustment on this pattern, and I shortened the body by 2 inches because I'm only 5'2", and I shortened the sleeves by 1 inch. So I will have footage of me actually in it here in a second, but it went together so well. I just was so impressed, and I love the color. It's just such a bright and happy color, and the pictures my husband got are just really, really good. So anyway, this is the first one that I did. I mean, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it might be time for you to be like way down in the Southern Hemisphere where you get actual cold weather. It might be a good time for you to make one of these. Their international shipping, if you spend over $50, is free. So they ship everywhere. So that's a lovely thing. But yeah, I was just very impressed with all of the products that came. It made a really, really great coat that I can't wait to wear. Supposed to get up into the upper 80s this week, so won't be wearing that for a while, but very excited about that coming out. So that was the first one, and again, that was released back in the fall, so as soon as I received that kit, I made it up and got that posted so that people could see. Again, this came in, I think she had picked out of that vegan Melton wool, which doesn't have any wool in it, coating, maybe it's just called vegan Melton coating, I don't know. Anyway, of that, I think she had like 3 or 4 different colors, and then she had matched the lining for all of that, obviously the thread, and even the snaps depending on what color of wool you were using. So, wool, we use that. Anyway, I was very impressed with that fabric. So then the other one that I received was one that I got it in March, but I had to wait until the end of April because this was one of the April patterns that was released. This is the Avid Seamstress, the Blouse pattern. So it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely. So the fabric for this is a Dashwood Studios rayon challis. It's just gorgeous. Isn't that beautiful? Look at the colors in there. I mean, it's got like my oranges in there. There's some of my like mustards. There's like that sherbet color that I've been using. That's navy. That's a navy in the background there. It's got some like warm reds that are up here. Yeah. I mean, technically, well, I shouldn't say that. Kind of this blue-green aqua, maybe not this bright, but it is in my color palette. But maybe, it may be very close to this bright actually, that's in my technical color palette. Anyway, I absolutely love this. I think this fabric is beautiful. And this one came in a few different colorways as well. And there was another, the Dove blouse was also, Megan Nielsen's Dove blouse was released at the same time. And was it just those two? I think it might have been just those two that were released at the same time, again, with different fabric options. And I can't remember how many different fabrics came with this particular kit, but it came with the fabric, it came with the buttons, it came with the thread, it came with a little bit of interfacing that you need for both the button placket and the little collar stand, and it came with the elastic that you need for the sleeves. This pattern, and then obviously the paper pattern. This pattern does not have bust darts. It's a great first, if you're looking to make your first button-up shirt, because it doesn't have a collar on it, it's just a little collar stand. This is a great one, a great pattern to try. It's very roomy throughout the body, so it does not have bust darts, but because I need a bust dart, just so things don't hang like crazy off my boobs. So I went ahead and just, I did a full bust adjustment on it. The size I chose went a little, I fitted it for my upper bust, and then I just did a full bust adjustment and used the darts that that created for my version, and it worked perfectly. And I think that's all I did. I don't even think I touched. This is like a 3/4 length sleeve, and I don't even think I shortened the sleeve. I think I may have left it because it's got the elastic. It's easy to push it up. Anyway, I love this so much. The bottom is just a double turn hem. I love this so much, and it was a very quick sew. So one thing that I think I've noticed is that they are choosing for their kits are patterns that are, you know, maybe will push you just a little bit, but aren't going to be so hard that you'll get frustrated, if that makes sense. And I think the Sephora, I've never made the Sephora coat by Paper Cut Patterns, but I think it's a similar, like it's a way to try a coat without it being way too technical. So yeah, I think that not only are these kits great for people that are, you know, still learning to sew, still learning to pair fabric with patterns, but I think it's a great way to kind of push the envelope a little bit. You know, if you're ready to maybe take the next step up, but you're not really sure what that is, I think that these are great. So if you've never made a button-up shirt before, you know, this might be a great place to start. Like I said, the other one was the Dove blouse by Megan Nielsen. That is not a button-up top, but it's a beautiful woven blouse. It has some gorgeous sleeve lengths, different sleeve options. So anyway, long story short, I think it's a great idea, and I wanted to share just the two that I've made so far. Again, I've got two more that I've received the most of the notions and stuff and fabric for that I will be making, and I'll, of course, you know, I like to share everything I make on here with you guys anyway. But I'd also gotten a few comments because you could see it in the back. Everything on the back rack now is just stuff that's waiting to be, currently waiting to be like mended or whatever. That's my Causeway bomber from Itch to Stitch. I just need to sew up the side seam still. I never did that. I've been wearing it like all fall, last fall, because I typically wear the silk side on the inside, and I just had not slip stitched the side seam up where I flipped the coat right side out. How long will that take me? Maybe 5 minutes, maybe. I hope that's not the case with my jeans, because I really do want to wear my white jeans some more. Although it's going to be in the upper, like mid to upper 80s later this week. So I'm like, oh my gosh, just like that, we're out of pant weather and gonna need to be wearing dresses and shorts and skirts. So anyway, we'll see. Okay guys, that's all I've got for today. I just kind of wanted to share those kits. One way to look for the kits on the site, again, hashtags. So if you search the hashtag Minerva exclusive kits, I'll leave that linked below if you just some different hashtags you can search. Minerva exclusive kits. I think one might be Minerva sewing kits, maybe, because they have a whole bunch of different craft options there on their site. Obviously you guys are interested in the dressmaking. But anyway, I will leave definitely links to my 2 posts for Minerva for these 2 items down below if you just want to read a little bit more about them. Yeah, and kind of go from there. Anyway, just thought it'd be helpful to share with you all, and today seemed like a pretty good day to do that. All right, going forward, Friday, I think on Friday, I'm going to be talking about some sewing that I'm going to be doing for my daughter. I tell you, every time I run into her, she's got like a list, like, can you make me... ... I just need her to be more specific. I'm like, yes, I can make you a skirt. What do you want it to be? Like, what kind of skirt do you want? And she's having a hard time communicating, oddly enough. I was like, draw something. And I'll make it. Anyway, I've told her to go on Pinterest, maybe make a Pinterest board of some things you might be interested in. I asked her, I was like, well, where do your friends like to shop? Like, maybe go to those websites, like, where are all your friends shopping? And you can maybe shop those websites and we can come up with some things you want to recreate. And she said, she was like, well, we were talking about that at school the other day on different brands. And she said, and a few of my friends were like, well, I just wear whatever my mom buys me. And she said a couple of them were saying, well, I like to shop at, like Old Navy or American Eagle, whatever. And she said, and someone looked at me and was like, well, what brands do you like? And she just said, my mom. And the girl was like, well, what do you mean, my mom? And she's like, my mom makes most of my clothes. And everyone was like, really? And she was like, yeah. She's like, and at that time she happened to be wearing like a pair of the jeans I'd made her in a shirt. And she's like, yeah, she made all this for me. She's like, I think it's giving me some street cred, making some teenage clothes. Anyway, that warmed my heart though, that it was that reaction and not your mom makes your clothes, that's awful. I never want it to be that. So anyway, possibly that's going to be on Friday because I'm going to need to be doing some of that sewing. Obviously I'll have some sewing I'll want to do as soon as the summer capsule comes out. I don't know how much, hopefully not a ton, and that was the case with, I ended up making a lot for the spring capsule because, let's be honest, I just love to sew. So I'm just gonna have a huge wardrobe because I just love to sew so much, and that's what I do. But anyway, that's kind of what we have going forward. Sunday is the last day of the Vogue 1650 sew along. You'll get to see the whole finished coat then. And then I'm gonna have 2 weeks of tutorials because our next sew along is the Monty shirt dress from Style Arc, and I'm making it for my sister this time because I already have one in my closet, so I'm gonna be sewing for the sew along one for her. And I wanna get footage of her in it before we start the sew along, just so that first week you can kind of see what it looks like. I mean, I can show you mine, but I wanted to show you the actual one we'll be making as well. That way, I want to start doing that, having the reveal of the finished pattern at the beginning, and then also I can put it at the end as well. But I need to actually get footage of her in that, and unfortunately, I'm going to be seeing her, well, not unfortunately, I'm going to be seeing her, but we have a family funeral that we have to, that's been pushed because of COVID, so that's finally happening. So as soon as when I see her for that, I'm gonna get some footage of her in the Monty. So 2 weeks of tutorials. One is the Concord t-shirt that I've turned into a dress. I'm gonna show you how I do that. And then the second tutorial is I've made the Simplicity 8875, which is one of the, it's got the Empire waist. And I had a lot of people saying, could you show us how to do a full bust adjustment on that? Because if you have large boobs, anything with an Empire waist will end up like right in the middle of your boob if you're, trying to buy ready to wear. So I've actually filmed how I did the full bust adjustment on that. Having a hard time getting it off my phone because I film all the overhead stuff on my phone because it's lighter. And for some reason it will not, I can't get it to come off my phone onto my junk drive like everything else comes off. So I'm not sure what the problem is there. So still figuring that out, but that's gonna be a tutorial as well. And then we'll dive into the Monty sew along. So, okay, I think I've blabbed enough. All right, guys, I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday, and I will see you again on Friday. Bye.